1. My technical school was doing sort of an annual camping trip close to the school. Ours is a very rural village near a couple of mountains, which involves the typical team-building activities like camping and jungle trekking. There is a resort there where the teachers and firemen volunteers sleep. Students sleep in the tent. The jungle trekking was on the second day, which involves following a predetermined track across the side of the mountain that took about 20 to 30 minutes. That leads back to the camping site. Each team had 3 girls and 3 boys, and since we were considered adult enough, we were on our own while teachers and firemen watched from a distance, concealed. They're practically following beside us on a lower mountain level, and each group follows one another over a 5-minute gap. Now all the adults had warned us about behaving ourselves during the trekking. Don't pluck the leaves and ruin the plants on purpose, don't curse, etc. Basically just behave, don't act like an asshole, and respect the nature. But my school is a technical school with loads of really naughty boys. So as you expect, the boys in my team purposely do all the things the adults told us not to do. Even go as far as marking the tree for fun. We are the second or third group to be released, and right after the adults were out of sight, they started being their asshole selves, laughing all the way. Us girls tried to scold them, but to no avail. The trek was supposed to be very simple, climbing a slightly steep trail for 5 minutes, until we found a branching trail and go to the right, and spend the remaining time on a fairly straight track. I didn't know about this before the trekking started, only after we were discovered. And there was also footprints of the earlier group to follow. I see the footprints, but somehow the boys don't, and they insist that we go left. And I, being the silent, non-arguing type, just give up and followed them. At first the trek was fine, straight and wide, the woods are bright, and we can see the river near our camping site, and all the woods noises. The boys continued to act like jackasses. But I was hit by a weary feeling because there is no one at the river, while I was sure the teachers and firemen gathered at the river when the jungle trekking started. And some teachers with families brought their kids to play beside the riverbank. And the wood noises started to fade the deeper we went. After walking about 30 minutes, the path started to become harder. We have to climb a fallen tree, rocks, narrow, slippery trek, poking branches, a lot of nature, but not a single animal or insect or any living things. And I was pretty sure we crossed the same fallen tree and big rock a couple of times. But we are still at the edge of the mountain because we can still see the river. The woods aren't dense. At the start of the trek, it was pretty hot and sunny. We started around 10 a.m. But now it is cloudy, chilly, and weirdly enough, very silent. No chirping birds, no buzzing, nothing. The boys had long become very quiet. And as girls don't have the strength anymore, we just continue to walk. I fall a couple of times. The other girl scraped her knee. The third girl ripped her sleeve, and while the boys were fine, they grew paler and paler. We are quiet now, and together with the quiet woods, it was extremely quiet. We just keep walking and walking and walking for what seems like eternity. Well, I keep glancing towards the river because I feel like there is something there. Finally, after walking for what I feel like was hours, we all decided to backtrack our steps, trying to find the branched track again. After another hour, we finally find it, and suddenly there were noises all around us. Sounds of the animals, teachers and students yelling our names. Firemen ignited very loud firecrackers, and kids playing in the water. Turns out after we failed to show up after our earlier group, and the next group after us told the teachers they didn't see us at all along the way, the jungle trekking was promptly halted and they started searching for us. They all covered both of the branches, the actual track, and the track that we followed, while ignited with those really loud firecracker balls that can be heard 1 kilometer away. They also ignited those along the river banks following our lost trails. but they failed to trace any kind of footprints along the trail we followed. And while there are still men on our lost trails, we just seemed to emerge at the branching track, and we were gone for 2 hours, while we all felt like we had been walking for half a day. The sun was still shining brightly and it was still hot, but we are all cold and clammy. The guys were almost blue. We were scolded very harshly, but the adults decided to cover this up because they didn't want to make too much fuss. And it was really our fault anyway. After all that havoc, we returned to the campsite. Other students came asking us about our experience. The guys stayed silent, and us girls just answer what we can. One girl said, "You guys didn't hear the firecrackers at all. It was so loud and continuous, it felt like the ground is shaking. You said you can see the river all the time. Didn't you see the firemen with the crackers? They covered quite far along the lost trail. All we can say is we didn't hear anything at all. Not until at the branch, where we were suddenly bombarded with all the noises. The woods were silent. Very silent." 2. When I was a kid, this is a really long story and I've never told anyone about it, but I was reading this thread and thought, to hell with it. I used to have a bunch of dreams about people who had died. My mom thought it was just me dealing with death, but once or twice it was really creepy because they would tell me things I shouldn't have known, and I'd tell my parents and they'd both just share this look of pure horror. Anyway, along with these dead people dreams, I had this recurring dream about a white woman chasing me down. When I say a white woman, I don't mean Caucasian. I mean white, paper white, with white hair and electric blue eyes. The thing is, this woman could shapeshift. I can't describe how. But sometimes she was the white woman. Sometimes she was a pair of twins. Sometimes she was a man in a suit. Sometimes she was an old woman with old-school spectacles, and various other disguises, and no matter what disguise she wore, eventually I could figure out it was her, and I'd be running away again. Majority of these dreams, for reasons unknown, took place on trains or in underground train stations. All I ever knew for sure was that the woman wanted my power. Don't know what power that was. And there were people in the dream, people I didn't know, who were trying to stop her from getting them. I also knew that these people genuinely loved and needed me, but I was never sure how or why. There was one man who wore a leather duster and who always changed ages, but he still always looked the same. Again, dream world mechanics are weird. He had the warmest hands, and I vividly remember the feeling of his fingerless gloves in mine. After many years of having all of these dreams, where I'm running from the white woman, I was about 11, I think. I have this dream about my grandfather who had passed away, and that he's suffering in the afterlife, and that he's in a great deal of pain. And I could see him laying out in our backyard, squirming in pain and melting into bones. I was so overwhelmed. I'd lost my grandfather at 7, but I still loved and missed him. Then I stopped by his corpse and, when I couldn't save him, broke down and cried. Now all of these people, who were trying to protect me from the white woman over the years, appeared in my backyard and were trying to pick me up and drag me away from my house. But I was trying to take away my grandfather's pain and save him. In the meantime, the white woman snuck up behind me and ripped out my eyes. I woke up, in tears, and aching all over with a migraine behind my eyes. I went into my parents' room, and my mum was there. Dad, my grandfather's son, was in Melbourne for the week. And I cried, telling her my papu was suffering, and that I had to do it. And I don't really know what it was, and I sobbed myself to sleep. To this day, my mom is completely freaked out about this, and says I looked possessed or something. I was sick for the next week, and my mom assumed I was hallucinating. I do that when I have a fever. Fast forward 12 years. Now I'm 23. My life isn't shit, but I have had a string of bad luck. Never had another dream about the white woman, dead people, or any of those people, or even my grandfather again. Which, after my grandfather died, I used to have heaps of dreams about him. Of the two of us just chatting. I forgot all about these chasing dreams, as in, I didn't think about them anymore. But dreamt I was on a train again about 6 months ago. For reference, Sydney trains have an above carriage and a below carriage, and I walked on and looked around and just knew I had to go to the below carriage, even though I always sit in the upstairs carriage. Down there, sitting across 2 seats, was the man in the leather duster, and he looked up at me and smiled and said, "Long time no see." And I was just so relieved in the dream that he was there. And it was like I was waiting all these years to find out if he was alive. I hugged him like an old friend. I sort of laid against him in the seat and felt his overwhelming sense of love. He told me that after the white woman took my powers, it was hard fighting her off, and they lost heaps of people and started listing all these names of people I don't know in real life. I totally remember from my dreams. I tried apologizing and to explain what happened, but he told me it was okay, and that I did the best I could given the circumstances. He told me all about the white woman, who needed my eyes to see all the spirits, but that she was gone now, and couldn't hurt me or anyone else again. Then the train was pulling up near my stop, and he said I had to get off and go live my life properly. I was really crushed, and wanted to stay with him because, and this was a big shock for me, I was totally in love with this guy. We made out for a bit, and then he sent me on my way, insisting things were going to be better, and that he'd watch out for me. I got off the train and, as I did, woke up, and just felt calmer than I ever have before. That very morning I got a phone call for the job I currently have, which is an amazing opportunity and job for someone my age. In the next month I won the case I had with my old boss, who refused to pay me super for the years I worked there. He had to pay me extra super, in fact, because he didn't pay up the first time, and 6 months later everything is just better. I don't know. The string of bad luck is gone. There is my weird glitch in the Matrix story. 3. In the past year, I can think of 4 times when things in my world just got weird. Most recently, 2 days ago. But I'll start with the first. A friend from high school, we graduated in '91, was helping me at my house one day. We'd moved the large screen upstairs, done some painting, and spent a lot of time talking and catching up. At one point I noticed 6 small dots on the top of his foot. We were barefoot the entire day, that were the same distance apart and slightly red. He said they didn't itch or hurt. Several days later they were still there. He said they disappeared after a few days. About a month later, he and I were at the firing range target practicing. The same pattern showed up in my arm. When I saw it, my heart just sank. I showed him, and it freaked us both out quite a bit. It was on the inside of my upper right arm. Didn't hurt, didn't itch. 6 small dots that were the same distance apart and slightly red. They were gone the next day. Around Christmas last year, about this time, I took a trip out of state for a week. My mom kept my dog while I was gone, and I bought her 4 babies from the Dollar Tree to take with her. They were rag dolls with striped legs. They had 4 different color options on the stripes, and I bought one of each. When I got back, Mom and I were getting caught up, and she said that she couldn't find one of the babies. She lived in an apartment at the time, and took the dog out on a leash. She didn't have any visitors that week. Went to work, came home, kept the dog. I shrugged it off and forgot about it. She moved in with me 3 months later. She packed, cleaned, and organized like the OCD person she is. She brought all of her things here and kept it all in the garage or upstairs until she got the basement like she wanted it. She then unpacked, organized, cleaned, trashed, replaced. 3 weeks after she moved in, I woke up, went to make coffee, and there the doll was, in pristine condition with the tag still on, sitting, on the carpet at the edge of the kitchen tile. If the dog had it, she would have destroyed it, like she did the other 3. It looked like it had just been purchased. And it was sitting. There are a few other things. The bathroom scale coming on without being stepped on. A pair of PJs showing up in my son's room with the tag still on, the day after we had a conversation about him ripping a hole in his. We debated stitching them up or just buying a new pair. We settled on getting a new pair. Someone beat us to it, though. A priority mailbox sitting on my porch the day after my mom and I had a conversation about a priority mailbox. We looked up the size because it wasn't listed as a flat rate, even though it was priority. I ship a lot of merch as my business. This box was brand new, flat, the same size we'd discussed. It was sitting on its side in a V-shape. We don't have a lot of company, and the past month only family. We aren't pranksters. My mother has no tolerance for jokes or silliness. She has a great sense of humor, we both do, but we aren't practical jokers. We have spent the last year working hard to try and get my business off the ground, and that is about all we do. These things don't make sense. And as serious and no-nonsense as she is, she's actually pretty religious. Even she is thinking maybe this is something glitchy. Any thoughts are appreciated. 4. There is a mall close to my house that I have been shopping at for about 14 years. There is an Aerie store. Aerie is owned by American Eagle and sells bras and panties. That opened in the mall about 6 years ago. I have always gotten my underwear from there. One day I went there to buy something and they had closed down, and a Guess store had opened in that spot. I was disappointed enough to go to the American Eagle in the mall to ask if Aerie was perhaps moving to another location in the mall. The girl there told me no, but she could tell me about the other locations, all a really long drive away from me. I was sad, but no biggie. I went on with life, kind of wore through my underwear, would buy from somewhere else when I needed to. Last year I mentioned to my mom how disappointed I was when Aerie closed down. She shops there as well, and had been the person who told me about the store. She told me, "No, it's not, it's still there across from the Free People." I told her that she was wrong and it had been gone for a year or so. She and my dad are mall rats. While I go to the mall several times per year, they go nearly every weekend. Mostly just to look around, get some exercise in the winter, etc. So in general, I would trust that they would know. But in this case, I knew that they were wrong. But a few weeks after they told me, I was in the mall and happened to walk past where Aerie used to be, and it was back. It was in the exact same spot, and the Guess store was now beside it. I went inside, and it had not changed a bit. Same displays in the same spot, same weird layout. Same greyish velvet couch in the change room. I bought a whole bunch of panties and told the girl at the till that I was certain they had closed. And I think that I sounded a little crazy. They said that they'd always been there. It kind of bothered me that I could have somehow missed the store all of this time. It made no sense. A store that I have visited so many times disappears for a couple of years only to reappear back where it had been. Between then and now, I have been in the mall in that section. It's a very big mall, a bunch of times, but never had a need to go to Aerie until a few months ago. I decided that I needed some new panties, so I go to Aerie and it's gone again. Replaced by the Guess store, just like it had been for a few years. So pretty much, Aerie was in the same spot for years, then was replaced by a Guess for a year or two, then switched back to Aerie, with the exact same fixtures, displays, then switches back to Guess. I am not certain how long the reappearing area was around for. I know that I did go past it a few times after that initial visit. But then I didn't pay attention because I assumed it was back for good. I was there only a few days ago in no area. And before posting here, I actually looked it up online. And it shows as having been in the mall, but has a caption on it that says permanently closed. I have decided that at Christmas I will bring it up with my mom and dad, and I'm secretly hoping that they'll say, "It's not closed. Why do you always think that it's closed? We were just there a few days ago." I can't for the life of me figure out how this could be anything but a glitch. It was a big store, and it was kind of on a corner and really stood out. There is no way that I could not see it for years and then see it when I was told to see it, and then not see it again. I kind of wonder if maybe my parents live in a slightly different reality than I do, but their insistence upon their reality caused me to bleed into theirs. Five. Ever since I was young, I have had a recurring dream a few times a year. It is the same dream every single time I have it. I used to pass it off as a dream, but as I get older, some other events have happened and I am beginning to wonder. To start, the dream goes like this. I am standing in a torchlit cobblestone tunnel. Ahead and behind me is a line of people who all appear to be quite dirty and sad. I look down and notice my own clothing, a peasant-type dress, is rather dirty and that I am chained by my feet to the person behind me and in front of me. I then look back at the person behind me as they are pulling on my dress. It's a young boy who is crying and asking me to pick him up. I try to comfort him, but my hands are bound. I feel a strong connection to the boy, a connection that I have never felt in this life. I believe he is my son. A small dog is alongside him, barking at me. I look forward again and the line moves ahead. I can see that the tunnel opens up into an arena-type enclosure. With each step forward, a loud thud noise is heard. It gets louder as we get closer. After a while that passes like seconds, I am approaching the entrance to the arena. I can see that there is a large wooden platform in the center that people are stepping up to. Atop this platform there is a guillotine. That is where the thud is coming from. With each step I am drawn closer to the machine. As I look down at my feet, going up the steps to the platform, I hear one last thud. Look back at my son. Turn to look upwards and wake up. And dream. Now I know this seems strange as it is, but lately it has gotten weirder. As I get older, more and more people that I meet claim that they must have met me before, that they recognize me. I would not write this if it wasn't happening quite a bit, but it seems like lately I have been meeting people who recognize me or who I connect with in a way that is either a good feeling or a negative feeling. Some people I get nothing, just a random new encounter, but others feel like an old friend or enemy, or claim to have known me prior to our meeting. Maybe they aren't linked. Maybe I have one of those faces. Who knows? But I thought it was interesting to share. Feel free to share what you think. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Glitch in the Matrix Stories 17. Thank you very much to everyone who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And I think I can safely say we should have another glitch video next week. I've already got a start on stories for that, so we're looking good for that already. So glitch fans, you should be okay for next week. Well, I have good news, my friends. I have good news. Hang on, I'm a little thirsty here. All those noisy workmen, they're all gone. They finished their work. I think they must have finished yesterday, because today they came and had a lot of banging and metallic sounds, a lot of clanking. And then I popped my head out and I realised, they're taking the scaffolding down. So I didn't mind the noise too much that day, even though it meant I got very little sleep, because that will be the last day of it, hopefully. They'll still be working about in my area, but they'll be far enough away that the noise won't really bother me that much. So, I should be able to start getting my sleep schedule back on track. Never mind this falling asleep at 10, 11 o'clock when I try to get to sleep about 6. I'm a night owl, so up all night, but I usually try to get to bed at a semi-decent hour. So, I'm looking forward to that. Might start to mellow out a bit again, because I would really start to take its toll on me. I'd usually be recording 2 videos today, but I'm so knackered I'm just doing this one. Then tomorrow, instead of taking Thursday off, I'll do my paranormal video, and I might get a jump on the upcoming ones as well. I want to try and clear out a good few days. I'll be able to clear out Sunday anyway, that's Christmas Day. I like to have my Christmas Day free. But don't worry, it won't affect uploads in any way. I'll be uploading just as normal. I am expecting view counts to be down around the few days surrounding Christmas, but for those who want to watch the videos, they're going to be up as normal. And with that, I think I'm going to head off for now, so until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.